So how about if we go ahead and get started?
Let me go live. Okay.
I'm going to go off video.
All right, good afternoon. This is the Opportunity Youth Academy Governance Board meeting. Today is December 10th, 2020, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm Dr. Marianne Dewan, County Superintendent of Schools and Opportunity Youth Academy Board member. I note that I am present here today. And at this time, I'm going to move to accept the agenda for today's meeting. And I'll begin with a statement. On behalf of the Opportunity Youth Academy, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this virtual board meeting. I appreciate everyone's support and flexibility. We are continuing to operate in accordance with state and county public health officials' guidelines and guidance in response to the COVID-19 virus. And as such, these meetings are being held via video conference. I'd like to check in to see I've adopted the agenda, and so our next agenda item is public comments. While the community is viewing remotely, there are opportunities for public comment. If you would like to make a public comment on an agenda item, comments must be submitted online. The link is posted on the streaming website and can also be accessed at tinyurl.com/public-comment-10-2020. Director Morales, do we have any public comments for today's meeting?
We do, Dr. Dewan. It's on item 4A.
Thank you. When we get to that item, I'll call for the comment. Item 3 are action items. At this time, I will be considering the minutes from the September 10th and September 24th meetings. And I will move at this time to adopt and approve the minutes of both meetings. Our next agenda item is the Opportunity Youth Academy Budget Overview for Parents, agenda item 3B. Director Morales, will you share with us about the budget overview after I provide the opening statement?
I will, Dr.
Thank you. California Education Code section 52064.1 requires each school district, county office of education, and charter school, or LEA, to develop the local control funding formula budget overview for parents in conjunction with the LCAP by July 1st of each year. Senate Bill 98 added Education Code section 43509, which changed the adoption date for the budget overview for parents for this current school year. Rather than the July 1st of each year for the 2020-2021 school year, the local governing board is required to adopt and submit the budget overview for parents on or before December 15th, 2020. Director Morales, we're ready for your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Dewan. I'm going to share my screen. Sorry. So this is the LCFF budget overview for parents. One thing I would like to note is unlike the budget overview for parents in the past, where the budget was reflective of the overall budget, which aligns with the LCAP, this year the CDE directed that we would create the budget on first interim budget numbers this year that aligns with the local continuity plan. And so briefly, the revenue for 2021, again, based on the first interim, the overall revenue, and what this pie does is it breaks it down by state, local budgets, along with the local control funding, base grant, concentration, and supplemental monies that we receive. So the overall projected revenue for 2021, based on the first interim, is $4,151,775. The expenditures, however, for this year is $4,687,360. That's the expenditures that that were created at the beginning of the year. The learning continuity plan, what we listed in the learning continuity plan expenditures, amounts to $321,496. And that's reflected here in this graph. So then what is all the other money being used for? What's not in the local control plan, or the learning continuity plan, excuse me, that we don't put in there are the operating expenses, the staff and the salary benefits, the curriculum that we pay for through Sciatech, the operating, the rental costs. Those are not included in the LCP. And so what is not put in there is $4,365,864. So I don't know how if the budget will look over the next few months as we start moving forward towards the LCAP, which will take place next in the spring of 2021. But we are planning on spending all of the learning continuity expenditures that we placed, which are reflective of our mental health provider that we put in there, are the purchase of Chromebooks, hotspots to support our students that are in distance learning, along with our college and career readiness support that we are working on right now. And that's a basic overview of the budget plan. I'm sorry, Dr. Dewan, you're on mute. Oh, sorry.
Yes, thank you. I just noticed that. Thank you for that presentation. And then just to clarify, once the budget overview for parents is adopted, will it be posted on the Opportunity Youth Academy website, or how will it be shared with parents?
Yes, thank you. It will be posted on our website and on our overview website, or I'm sorry, our Opportunity Youth website under the resources page under About OIA. So it will be posted there. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And there were no public comments for this item?
Let me stop sharing and then I can look. No public comments on this item.
All right, thank you. I'll go ahead and take action to approve the Opportunity Youth Academy budget overview for parents. Thank you to the staff and the budget team for all their hard work on that. We'll go on next to our information item, which is an update about the Opportunity Youth Academy charter petition renewal. The Opportunity Youth Academy will be seeking its first renewal, and so approval to renew the petition, which is currently serving students in grades 9 through 12 for a continuing charter term of 5 years beginning in June of 2021. Our school was initially approved by the County Board of Education as a county-wide charter school in August of 2016 for a 5-year term, and current term ends June 30th, 2021. Director Morales, will you be providing the presentation?
Yes, I will.
Okay, you may begin.
Thank you, Dr. Dewan. I just want to be sure Okay. So thank you, Dr. Dewan. Generally this presentation is 10 minutes, and I think that's when we present it at the public hearing. It will be a 10-minute presentation. I'm hoping I can stay within the 10 minutes in this presentation or not, but I will definitely try my best. So here is our mission and vision. I want to start with our mission and vision just as a reminder to folks that are watching. truly what is the purpose of OYA when it started in 2016, 17, and even before that, what was the focus for our students coming into OYA. And this is a very long mission and vision. What I really wanted to focus on is the last sentence, and that is that in the end, we want to be sure that our students, when they graduate from OYA, are ready to learn, are ready to work, and are ready to live. And I think that has been the driving force behind everything we do at OYA. The ready to learn is not just simply getting your high school diploma, but are we preparing them for college and career? The ready to work, are we preparing them and putting them in internships? Are we exposing them to opportunities for careers so that when they do leave, there is a pathway into some career? And then ready to live, are we providing them the support to think critically, to be happy, to be able to support their families? And so that is done with the relationships that we build with our students, with the many partnerships that we have been able to establish with local agencies, and making sure that when they do leave, they have resources in hand that will help them through their life. And so I think our mission and vision is, like as I said, the driving force behind what we do. But I think we live it truly every day that our students come in the work that we provide. I want to just talk a little bit about OYA DOS and what that means for us and how does it impact our renewal. We are what we call a DOS certified school, so Dashboard Alternative School status. And that is because we serve high-risk students. One of the criteria to be considered a DOS certified is that 70% of the student population has to meet a particular criteria. For us, it is that 70%, more than 70%, are what they call credit deficient. So many of our students, not many, all of our students come into OYA with at least a year behind in credits. Some other criteria is also low income. Our students, about 71% of our students are low income. So just on those two criteria, we were able to become DOS certified for a second or another term. We still have to participate in the dashboard and all the measures that are in the dashboard. However, there are some modified measures like the graduation rate. For example, most schools follow a 4-year graduation rate. We follow we are a 1-year graduation rate. And also because we are not necessarily considered an alternative school, we don't automatically meet the state's criteria for the DOS certification. So we have to apply for the certification, have it certified through our board, Dr. Dewan, and then we submit and the CDE either approves it or not. And thankfully we were approved this year. So what does that mean for our renewal? Well, under the SB 98, the new criteria for renewal, all charter non-DOS schools fall into 3 tiers. They fall into a high tier, a middle tier, or a low tier. A DOS school does not fall into one of those tiers. They follow a very different criteria, which is basically that a board, the authorizer, would look at the the dashboard indicators along with local measures, and based on that, through the DOS renewal, is be able to determine, are they making some progress toward academics, college and career, graduation? If there is some progress that can be determined, then the local board could renew the petition. And so the presentation today is showing that we are making growth in many of the areas, and therefore we'll be bringing this to the authorizer for renewal. One of the big things that really, when I was doing the work on this and trying to understand it, the question for the board is if by not renewing the charter petition, does it benefit the students? And I would like to say that I think OYA has benefited many of the students in the communities in Santa Clara County. To date, we've had over 300 students graduate from OYA. We have approximately 50 students that are dual enrolled or are in community college. I just got the numbers for our graduation for today or for this semester, and we've had 31 students graduate in the fall of 2020 in a pandemic. And that is just, I think, showing that the significance of OYA to the community and to our students, how important it is for their life, really meeting that mission and vision. I want to just talk a little bit about our student profile. So when a student comes to us, who are they? What is it that they bring to us already? Many, if not all, our students either meet one of these bullet points. Certainly they're in between the ages of 16 to 24. We have 50% right now that are minors between the 16 and 17 years, and adults between the ages of 16 to 24. We have 50%, close to 50% female and male. 87% are Hispanic. We have a very large Latino Hispanic population. 71% are low income. Most of our students are either English learners or special needs, or both, students with special needs. Credit deficient. The average for our student is 60 credits. That's 1 year behind. The length of time for them to earn a diploma is 2 years. 1 year behind, but 2 years to earn it back. Well, that's simply because a lot of our students are working, they have families, they can't take the traditional 6 classes in one semester to earn those credits. Many of our students need employment, 66%. So oftentimes when students come to us, they're asking for employment as well. Not only do they want to start the path to a graduation, they're also looking for a job. And pre-pandemic, most of our 50% of our students needed transportation. Now in distance learning, that's not the case, but I'm sure that that will be the case when we go back to in-person. Another important part for us is finding out what are the needs of our students. In 2017, we partnered with Opportunity Youth OYP to create something called Resource Link. It was to establish a way to connect re-engagement schools, meaning OYA, Conservation Corps, San Jose Conservation Corps, Job Corps, with partnering CBOs in an effort to build an integrated system of support for Opportunity Youth. So for us, so what we do is at the beginning, when a student comes to or starts with OYA, we actually do what they call a success assessment. So we want to look at what are their needs in housing and transportation and employment, mental health, childcare, those sorts of things. And once we're able to get that information, our navigators then are able to make referrals to some of our partners. Now, these partners here that are on this particular slide are the folks or the partners that we use the most. So Bill Wilson, Planned Parenthood, Teen Success, Work to Future, and so on. What I'd like to share with you are 3 organizations or partners that we use a lot. Bill Wilson, we've been able to refer a lot of our students who are looking for housing or shelters to Bill Wilson. We use Work to Future a lot with our employment. And one of the things I like to share with you is we've already put a cohort through a county intern and earn program, a cohort of 10 students through our San Jose Work Internship program, and one to start here very soon, and a cohort through our San Jose Cares Work program. So working at trying to find opportunities for our students, not only to get jobs, but build internships and establish some of those connections. So as they move forward and move into after high school, they have some potential employment opportunities for them. And another organization is the Second Harvest that we've been working with, providing students, about 40 students, with food drive opportunities, letting them know when we could, when there's going to be food distribution in those areas. We were able to collaborate with Second Harvest and provide a food drive for our OYA students at the Snell site. So some students were able to come and pick up some food at the Snell site. And then we're also organizing a food drive and a gift drive for our OYA students as well. So that some of our students that need support during the Christmas holiday and need gifts for their children, we want to be able to help and support them. Our navigators are really the ones that are organizing and coordinating this work. And what they're doing is making sure that they're following up with these organizations to make sure that the students are making connections with the reps from these organizations and how we can continue to support them. If you have questions, Dr. Wan, I'm sure I can stop or we can get to the end.
I'll wait till you finish the presentation.
Okay. The next 8 slides are data slides. So this is really just a snapshot of the progress that OYA has made over the last 3 years. I want to start with our enrollment trends and look a little bit about what our enrollment has looked like over the last 3 years. One thing 4 years rather, I didn't put in here was the 16-17 enrollment. That's when the charter was approved and when it started. The enrollment at the end of that year was, I want to say 67 or 70 students enrolled for that particular year. But in 17-18, the enrollment shot up to 222. And the reason why that significant change was because of the disengagement waiting period that was never part of our charter, but it was, I think, something that was understood at the time. I think there was some concern that many students from local districts would automatically want to go to OYA. And so we talked about it as a school and made sure that if we did kind of waive that 3-month, that the students still coming to us were truly disengaged, meaning that they were not going to school, that they had failed or were credit deficient, that their grades weren't good. And so we did made sure that we screened our students in appropriately, make sure that they were truly disengaged before they started with OYA. And as a result, I think we've had much success because of that change over the years, just increase in our enrollment. This year we are at 339, 340 students. And our ADA has maintained between 67 and 70%. Our attendance participation has maintained between 67 and 70%. This is some of our local data, our local measures. So we use Renaissance Star reading and math in addition to our CASP and our LPAC assessments to just get a sense of where our students are in terms of their reading and math skills. What I want to point out, this is just overall. Now in 17-18, we had 43 students test throughout that entire year. We had a 33% that performed at grade level or above. The next year we had 81 students test throughout the year. And again, a small bump up overall. In 19-20, this would have been just the fall semester. We weren't able to test in the spring because of school closures. But we had 184 tests in that year. And the reason why we were able to see the increase in terms of just getting students to test is because we really talked up the importance of RenStar. We talked about how we fed students to come into the site, made sure that we blocked out time for them to do it. We really put some incentives in place just to make sure that they would come and take the test. So we were able to see it overall. In math, very similar numbers, students that were testing and similar growth as well. The problem that we come up against with using the RenStar is because students are stopping and starting at different times throughout the year. So it's hard to determine or follow a certain cohort and be able to follow their growth. This is what we were able to pull together and average what is, if there's any growth over those years what would it look like? And so this is what we were able to pull out of RandStar. Our CAS-BLA, this is based on our 11th grade testing. All students in 17-18, we had 10% that met proficiency. And then in 18-19, we had 13. So it was a slight increase by 3%. And then when we break it down to student groups, and this is all pulled from Dashboard, by the way, so I want to just put that, not Dashboard, excuse me, from the ELA, that the results that we get back overall as a summary. Our one student group, Hispanic, we saw a 3% gain. So same with our low income, a 3% gain. Our math has always been a challenge for our students. So we had only a 4% that met proficiency, and then in our student groups, 0%. Even though, like I said, in reading it showed gains, but in math, not so much. A lot of times students just don't take this test seriously. And so it's being able to letting our students know how important this is for us to make sure that we're providing them the support that they need as they push forward in OYA. Our LPAC actually tells a little different story, and we've been able to make some great progress with our English learners. This is a 2-year trend. Now understand that in 17-18, we used the CELT, and the CELT actually had 5 levels. So in 2017-18, we had 42% of our EL students actually in level 1, which is a beginning level, and 34% actually were tested in level 3. And level 3 is that intermediate level. When we tested again in 18-19, we had actually a decrease in level 1, which is good. That's what we wanted to see. But an increase in level 2, a small decrease in level 3, but an increase in level 4. And what is this saying is that students are progressing through levels, going from beginning, or in an EL, and the LPAC score, the levels is from minimally developed up to well developed. So we saw about a 45% in EL progress across levels from level 1 to level 4. This has a lot to do with the fact that in 18-19, we started to do what we call cohorts. So pulling in students in very small groups and focused on reading and ELA. And as a result, in these smaller groups where they were learning together and there was time spent with a teacher working on strategies, and we felt that this might have been the reason why we saw some movement, some progress across levels. We also started to use Eloquence online, which is a curriculum designed for EL students. Our California Dashboard, a graduation indicator. What I'd like to report is that we actually saw an 8% from in 2017, and in 18-19 we saw an 8% gain in graduation rate. And this really is a result of placing students in grade level according to credits, not by age. And I think as we adjusted that, we had a true 12th grade class. And so we were able to really support our 12th graders, find out what did they need to meet graduation, and how do we plan for them and keep track of them as they get closer to graduation. Unfortunately, we weren't able to pull data for the dashboard in 1920, and I would have loved to see what that percentage would look like. My guess was that it would have been a little higher, but in terms of what we have, all of our students had an 8% gain. Our English learners had a slight decrease or maintained. Our low income students had a 7%, and our Latino population, or Hispanic, had an 8.5% gain in graduation rates. Our college and career readiness is a little different. And that is not necessarily because they are not ready. It's because of the indicators that they use to determine college and career readiness. for example, or the indicators really that are used is career tech education pathway completion. They use the Smarter Balance summative assessment to determine preparedness, advanced placement exams, international baccalaureate exams, college and career credit courses completion. Those are the credit bearing dual enrollment courses. A through G completion, state skill of biliteracy, and the military science and leadership. So 2 indicators that we are starting to really focus on that hopefully will help us with this indicator is the career tech education pathway completion. So building out those pathways and making sure that students are taking those intro course, the concentrator and the completion course, or the capstone course at community college. And we started to do some very significant work in building out 2 courses, or 2 pathways rather, and then making sure that we're offering the dual enrollment courses for our students. So as they're enrolled with OYA, they're also taking credit-bearing courses at community colleges. And we saw a significant increase in students doing that starting last year, more so this year. So what are some of the areas of challenges and improvements that I think we need to focus on moving forward? Our English learner reclass, we had 0 reclass. Even though we've seen some growth in the ALPAC scores, some of the other areas and the local measures like RENSTAR or CAS are still not enough to be able to reclass students. So we need to do a better job at providing more small group in-person and virtual support, using universal design for learning strategies to help our students, our EL students, in those state and local assessments. I think also support them as they're continuing taking the ALPAC exam. And hopefully we were able to report out some reclass in our English learners. As I mentioned, our college and career readiness, I think we're having a real shift in our college and career going culture, not moving away from high school diploma focus to what are we doing with transition planning to for students into college and career, utilizing our Naviance college and career curriculum and building out some of those transition plans, using our linked learning pathways. So we were able to, the faculty, or excuse me, the staff built out 2 pathways, health opportunity pathway called HOPE and an ICT pathway. And this is work that we're doing with our ConnectEd partners, along with our SciTech partners who are providing some of the courses in both these pathways. And then looking at our graduation rates, we want to be sure that we are doing some goal setting with our students early on. So in their freshman year, we're building out individual plans over 4 years or however long they're with us, doing our academic and transition planning. And then we're setting up some quarter progress meetings throughout the year, starting next year, on making sure we're stopping at certain points throughout the year to review transcripts, to review progress, making sure that they're on track to graduate in whatever plan that they've put forward. And that's the end of the presentation. I could stop and take questions now. Let me look. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you. I'd like to take the public comments first, and then I have some clarifying questions.
Absolutely. Okay, so there is still just one public comment, and I can read that out if you'd like.
Please.
So this is OYA board meeting item 4A. As you may know, California's Department of Juvenile Justice will not be accepting youth after June 30th, 2021. Those youth whom the juvenile court would have sent to DJJ will therefore remain in Santa Clara County. These are youth aged 18 to 25. As part of their confinement, they will require educational services. Seeing as how OIA serves youth up to 24, would it be reasonable to consider OIA as a possible educational provider for the youth noted above? Have any conversations occurred with the Santa Clara County's Office of Juvenile Probation? And that's the only comment we have, Dr. DeWan.
Okay, thank you for that. Clarifying questions that I have. I didn't see any slides in the presentation, and perhaps they're included in the dashboard or in the petition renewal you're working on, but the actual dashboards that apply to Opportunity Youth Academy from the California Accountability System. Do you have those dashboards?
They are not in the presentation. They are in the petition. Yes, but I can certainly put them in the presentation. But they are in the petition.
And given a number of the areas, the description of student performance is quite alarming. And you described the need for some, plans. But I believe that it's going to be necessary that those plans actually be well developed and thought out and included in a petition renewal, so that there is a pretty clear pathway to address the achievement needs of our students. And just a few philosophical things. One, I'm clearly aware that COVID-19 has been extremely disruptive. Two, that the students that we have the opportunity and privilege to serve in this charter school are really depending upon us for setting them up on a path to success. And while our goal is obviously for them to earn their high school diploma and to have this transition into college and career, their ability to demonstrate their competency in math and reading is really essential to future job opportunities and to success in college, community college, and the like. So I really would need to know a lot more about what the plans, the very specific and detailed plans, the services, the assessments, the ways in which we're going to provide high levels of support to our young people to help them achieve in math and in reading, language arts, and see significant growth in those areas. Additionally, I think it's going to be important to clarify in the petition renewal the ways in which our students are assessed and the ways in which their competencies are measured. So I don't know what is currently described in the petition renewal in that area. But this is also a topic that we've discussed at this board a number of times and with our advisory board, how we're assessing our students, how are we measuring growth, what stories can we tell about the achievement increases that they're having, particularly in reading and those core competencies in math. So I think more detail is going to be needed. Obviously we want to provide this program and the school opportunity and for it to be a benefit to students. And I think there are many ways to describe the benefit of the program. And yet it is a school. So the ways in which we describe the benefit also have to be connected to academic achievement and some clarity about measuring that and doing just-in-time additional supports to help our individual students. Just an area on one of the slides that needs to be revised. In terms of childcare, you referenced 4Cs. That agency no longer exists.
Thank you.
And not necessarily related to the petition, but you mentioned about the need to provide support to our Opportunity Youth Academy students during the holidays. And I want to thank the navigators for whatever it is they're doing to help address those needs, which I would imagine to be urgent and quite real. I will also just advise administration to consider collaborating with Susan Carrig in our office about more expansive ways in which members of the leadership team may also wish to support our Opportunity Youth Academy students, perhaps by some donations to that project that you described. And so at this time, I'd like to hear just from you a little more specifics. Take about 5 minutes or so to share the specifics and the next action steps that will be taken with regard to specific plans to address the academic deficits that you described in this data slides.
Right. I think that the first thing that we need to do is use our quarterly meetings to first determine where the true deficit is for our students. And we put a plan together for that, and I would certainly happy to share that we would quarterly, and we, like I said, I don't have the dates for that right now, but that we would be able to review assessment based on reading and math with our RenStar assessments. All teachers on their caseload would be doing that. We've built out a course in SciTech. It's called an ILP course to be able to, that we would document that information, look at the scores, when did they take the last assessment, math and reading, and then based on that be able to provide, our teacher be able to then determine what interventions does that particular student need. If it is, when we get back to in person, the small group cohort, that has been very important for our students, particularly the ones that our teachers have determined need the most support. And being able to track them throughout the year and finding out, are they doing better? In what areas are they doing better? And what other support can we provide them? So that has been the first big step that we've taken, is making sure that we provide these quarterly meetings. I think also it's important that we talk to our students about the need to take our assessment seriously. Most of our students come in and it's very difficult for them to want to take this test, but or RenStar assessments. But even being able to truly make an assessment calendar, bringing our students in, talking to them about the need to understand what is your reading level, your math level, so that we can help support them. That certainly connect it with college and career, why you need to have or have those skills. It's important, and supporting them in that way, and not just we need to take this test because we need the data. So really, getting the information out to our students how important this is. Also, making sure that we have the tutors available that can work one-on-one with our students and providing them when they're struggling. So those are a few things that we have worked on and are planning to really push forward with.
So I think I would encourage you and the team to put those out into a corrective action plan or strategic set of actions to very specifically address those data sets that you shared on the slides that are alarming. I don't think it's enough to verbally articulate the things that we think are related to that, which I see a lot of robust connection, and as an educator myself, I'm very tied into what you were describing, and yet I think it has to be described as a plan with some very specific target dates, action steps, individuals who are responsible, and ways that we're going to know if some of those actions, those investments, those steps that we're taking will be, are impactful and are making a difference. I also am not clear if the petition itself is articulating some of those alternate assessments, the ways in which you described the progress monitoring, the growth assessments, that intervention, individual student intervention planning. And if it is not richly articulated and well described in the petition renewal, that it does need to be. And then in the strategic action plan or corrective action plan, that you would be able to point to that as a component, a core component of the program itself, in ways in which you might increase that investment. Additionally, I think there are some things missing from the presentation, and that also might be missing from the presentation, I'm sorry, from the petition, and that is really the voice of our young people, and the impact of this program for our young people. I would highly recommend, perhaps provide direction to staff to include representatives from staff as well as students to tell the story of the Opportunity Youth Academy, and specifically for how some of our graduates might be faring. So what transitions have they made into workforce? What transitions have they made into community college or college? One of the potential ways that we can describe the benefit of OYA to community, irregardless of the achievement data, is that transition and success in post-secondary. And I don't really see that well articulated or described in the presentation. And I believe that it would need to be, and as well described in the petition. Potentially as well, letters of support from our students or our graduates, and just more data about our graduates. What happens, year one after, and when our students graduate, are they going into military? Are they going to community college? Are they successful in workforce? And then lastly, I am concerned about getting a better picture of some of the barriers. And I'm going to first talk about this in association with the seriousness with which students take the test. I would like to offer an alternative way of thinking about the seriousness with which they take the test, and shift our mindset into in what ways might that testing experience be uncomfortable, fear-inducing, maybe in conflict with some of the other priorities that the young person has. How do we alleviate anxieties? In what ways do we ready them, positively promote their participation, so that they can feel a greater sense of that this is the right thing for them, and that they're ready to take the test, and that they see potentially the value not just to the program, but maybe to themselves. So attendance credit, if there are barriers for transportation or food or childcare during the testing window, just all the ways in which we can support them. Again, because I really want to shift our mindset away from how the student might look at that as, or we might perceive them as not taking it seriously, and yet there could be some really legitimate needs that students have that, again, we are talking about 16 to 24-year-olds. It's a whole different setting than a traditional high school. And so I would like to have some understanding from the team, the navigators, and others in ways in which we can positively promote the test in ways that reduce barriers for students and make it more welcoming and more inclusive for their participation. Maybe a time for celebration, maybe a time for special connections with some of the key staff, things of that nature. And then secondly, I'm very interested in knowing the kinds of things that navigators are finding to be barriers and places in which we may need to seek additional partnerships or make more investment for students to participate fully and successfully in the Opportunity Youth Academy. So whether, more data, for how many of our students is childcare a barrier? For how many of our students are they working and trying to manage their school and their work? How many of our students is transportation a barrier, and what transportation resources are most effective in meeting their needs? What about food insecurity or housing insecurity? So I'd like to get more information about our students themselves and how our program can fulfill its full vision of removing those barriers and helping our young people succeed academically through to graduation onto post-secondary.
So may I ask, is this information, should I include this in the petition, or is this something that you would like as a separate kind of action plan or information? Is this something that we should put in the actual presentation? So just some advice.
I believe that the action plan is going to be necessary in the petition renewal application.
Okay.
Having data charts with 0% and not having a corrective, clearly articulated action plan included in the petition would not meet the renewal criteria. So I believe you need to have a clearly articulated plan, given that several of your data slides show 0% growth, 0% achievement. As far as understanding the needs of our students, I do think some of those learnings should be described in the plan and then used, or in the petition, and used to identify the role that the navigators and the community partnerships play in addressing those needs. And
Okay.
if that is not articulated, it needs to be. Opportunity Youth Academy is not a traditional charter school.
Mm-hmm.
It is a county-wide school under the DOS. We have to be able to describe the benefit that the program is providing in ways that cannot be measured under the state's accountability plan.
Correct.
And that should be described in the petition renewal, as well as potentially shared to some degree in your presentation. Would there be opportunity for students, perhaps our student representatives that serve on the advisory council, to potentially co-present or to make public comment at the meeting? What supports could be provided to them to participate?
Right. So at the meeting, students and staff will do public comment. I didn't know we could do that's how we are, and we do have graduates that will be enrolled students, and then graduates that actually.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
I just wasn't sure how in the slide presentation, because I do have testimonies from students who are already getting a lot of that information. So I wasn't sure, given that we have 10 minutes and I know it's going to be held in 10 minutes. I didn't know how much of that information I should have put in the actual presentation, but they will be definitely presented.
Great, thank you. I think if you would like to, provide some revisions to the slide deck, and then perhaps before the hearing itself, we could take some time to provide some support and have you do a rehearsal and
Oh, great.
we can do another check-in. So, you know, my leadership style is to provide as much support as possible. And I'm really grateful to you, Director Morales, for your leadership and what we've been doing to build out this program. You know, we started as a startup, started as a program, moved to becoming a school. And I think, you know, a few years in, we've made great progress. And yet we have a bit more to go to achieve the full vision as we articulated in our initial design. So I thank you. I'm here to support you. I also want to take a moment to thank Blanca for all of her support and, you know, getting our meetings and everything ready, and all the things that she does on the back end to keep us moving in the right direction. And to the staff, I don't know if any of them are actually able to participate in today's meeting, but I just want them to know the incredible impact that their day-to-day work has for our students, and how much I value the ways in which they've pivoted so quickly during COVID to continue to provide excellent programming for our students and to stay connected to our students. So my gratitude to all of them. And in light of the upcoming winter break, I would encourage everyone to find some time to rejuvenate, reflect, and express their own gratitudes. We know that gratitude is one of the ways in which we can instill hope and look forward to a more positive 2021. Are there any other comments, responses for item 4A, Director?
There is one comment, and it is related to item 4A, and it's RenStar testing. Could be that an issue is in how the test is administered. Just talk to Dr. Everett and how they modified their RenStar test administration to make it more user student friendly. And so I will be doing that
Okay,
tomorrow.
great. All right, thank you for that follow-up. I would appreciate that. And
Sure.
that may lead to information to be included in the petition as with that, I'll go on to item 4B, our second information item, which is the statement of our board meetings. Our next board meeting is January 14th. At this time, I want to thank you all for joining us for this December meeting of the Opportunity Youth Academy Governance Board. I look forward to seeing you all in 2021. And at this time, I will be adjourning this meeting. Have a safe evening.
Thank you, Dr. Dewan.
Thank you. Be well.
Thank you, Dr. Dewan. Thank you.